What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Full Circle. And if you haven't noticed, it's July. So, Christmas in July. That's why we're all festive Jareds. Wearing a sweater despite it being 102 outside. And I'm wearing green and keeping in with the spirit of Christmas in July. We're not going to talk about anything Christmas related.
No.
But you are getting the present in this week's episode.
It's us.
It's us. Present. We're here.
In the present.
We have graced you with our presence in the present, so that's your present.
Yes.
It sounded better in my head, I won't lie to you.
Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift, because it's the present.
Yes. So, I am Odell Harmon Jr. You can find me at Odell Harmon Jr. It's below.
At the handle, featured below.
Yeah, and you can find us at FC Podcast 23. Like, share, subscribe. You know what? I'm just going to let you do all the promotion because I'm just like, it doesn't sound right now. You have that announcer voice. So,
attention duelist. Without further ado, presenting Jared Fradette at Toon Velo.
Yes.
Something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well, yeah. I won't repeat yours. I'll do it at the end.
Okay.
But, on that note, we have a great episode for you today. We'll be discussing, for those of you who've actually never watched anime, we've talked about a lot on the show, and you want to get into it, where's a good anime for beginners to get into? We'll be discussing the new live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie. That's right, we announced it a few episodes ago.
Predicted. Came full circle.
So who do they cast for that, and who do we think they should have cast for it? But stopping off at the top of the hour is Geek Chic culture, how it's come of vogue. How did we get here? Is it good?
Yeah, so as you know by now, we promote ourselves as a geek podcast. Did we call ourselves a geek? What do we call it? Do we have a term for it?
I label us on YouTube as entertainment.
Geek culture, there we go, that's the word I was looking for. Mm-hmm. We are a geek culture podcast discussing all things geek, video games, anime, technology,
comic books,
manga, all that sort of stuff. And if you remember growing up, we are currently in our late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. We are.
I mean, that's why we look like teenagers on TV. We're in our 30s.
Exactly. So, just if you've existed today with your Instagram, your Snapchat, your Facebook, whatever have you, you've come across geek culture in tenfolds. Mm-hmm. A prime example is Pokemon Go. In elementary school, it was cute to like. In middle school, at least for us, it was very taboo. Can be a 12 and 13-year-old liking Pokemon.
Oh, no.
And high school was a weird transition between early high school, liking Pokemon was kind of taboo. Towards the end of it, it was mostly widely acceptable, or at least on the up and up. Definitely in our college years, so we're talking the mid-2000s, 2008, 9, 10, etc. Mm-hmm. Well, no, I guess that's the late 2000s.
Yeah, 2008 is the 10s,
okay,
basically.
Yeah, that era in time, we started to see a shift where geek culture used to be in the background, It went from taboo to just like, that's what the nerd kids do. The world used to be very cliquish. You had your jocks, your cheerleaders, your cool kids, your goths, your ravers, your anime dweebs, etc., etc., etc. And then, the mid to late 2000s, we started to see this shift where geek culture became popular. Terms like Geek Chic started to appear. Mm-hmm. And now, like I mentioned earlier, Pokemon Go, it became widely acceptable for people, no matter what walk of life, in terms of, how popular or cool you are, that we're all embracing these things and loving it. And truth be told, a lot of people honestly loved it to begin with, but because of stigmas, didn't show that side of them, Like, man, Jared, we've been at the gym before, and we were talking about Bleach one time, and it's very, what you consider typical gym bro,
Gym rat.
Yeah, muscular, whatever, works on. He was like, he came up to us kind of like, a secret. It was like, you guys watch Bleach? Oh, I love Bleach. And there was some camaraderie there because we're at the gym, a very quote-unquote masculine area, and we're talking about anime. And this guy couldn't help but to interject how much he also loved the show. Mm-hmm. So with that said, we still have places where people and places and times where people don't feel comfortable. But as times go on, the lid's being removed. And we're trying to analyze, what do you think, Jared, is the cause of that?
Not to put... Kind of two things. So, not to toot my own millennial horn here, but I mean, we are the primary consumers of goods now. We're the ones that are supposedly driving the economy or killing it. As I'm told, I'm killing... Daily killing the diamond industry. I just have a list here of industries I'm trying to kill. But yeah, we're the main consumers of things. So what do we like? Everything that we had during childhood. I mean, that's what everybody likes. Everybody likes the things they had during childhood.
Pretty much.
So, all these cool things that came out in childhood, I want again. That's why we have all these remakes. That's, circling right back around. That's why we always say remakes.
Yeah, and more so with the Avengers movies. Let's go back again. Let's say,
10 years of Marvel films.
Let's say the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. If you went around and was like, oh, I love Iron Man and Thor, granted, over dramatic geek persona. I love Iron Man and Thor and Hawkeye and, Thanos isn't as good as Darkseid.
Nerd.
And, where's your lunch money type thing. Pretty much what some people consider what a social, I'm about to say social media, but you will be killing yourself socially before...
Social media was a thing.
Yeah, you had to do it in person.
Right.
Like everything else.
Exactly.
And now it's like, if you go... Thor and Iron Man and Hawkeye, and it was like, oh yeah, it was amazing and it was great. Even though 10, 15, 20 odd years ago, you got chastised for it. You really did.
I mean, there are people, it's like people 10, 15 years ago didn't even know Spider-Man was a comic book.
Let's just say
It's like, I haven't heard of all these newfangled superheroes. New? My father's actually told me this several times about, like, Green Lantern stuff. He's like, we didn't have all those heroes when I was your age. It's like, Dad, the Green Lantern came out in, like, the 30s. Like...
It's like, you did.
You did.
You had them before I did.
You just didn't know any of these. My dad was not a geek. I don't know where... My mom wasn't a geek. I don't know where I got it from. But, yeah. So, more and more people are becoming more aware of geek things.
So, what do you think? Do you think it's because of mainly technology, or people are just becoming more open with who they are? Like, we're now living in a society that's more, or not as damning as it was for being who you are.
I don't think it's more open, but so I'll think also the other half of here, technology, the internet specifically, now we can reach out and find these like-minded people, so we're not alone. That's what it is. It's not that we're more accepting. It's that we're no longer as alone as we once were. Whatever you want to be in life, whatever niche, nook and cranny thing that you thought was special to you, you've now found at least like 10 other people in the world who like it.
Yes, and like I said, some aspects of geek culture is now cool. Like Pokemon Go was cool because that was just a unexplained phenomenon. And even in terms of clothing and fashion, like you can go to JCPenney and buy a Mario shirt, a Sonic shirt, a cross-reference shirt, like, I'm just shooting from the hip here, like a Simpsons character dressed as, like, Spider-Man or something.
Right.
And these things sell like hotcakes.
Right. All those terrible Doctor Who crossover shirts where it's just a character looking at the TARDIS and there's no actual interaction and the styles don't actually change between people. I hate those.
So, Jared, I will pose this question to you, but I'll give my own answer first. So, why is this happening? Essentially, it's become cool to be a geek.
Okay.
Or geek culture is in.
That's fair.
And so what happens is you have a lot of people, like, being hipsters, essentially. Like, you have people who are hipsters, and then being a hipster was in, so dressing and kind of taking on that motif people did.
Right.
But, like, geek culture is more expansive than, I would say, hipster culture, so you had a lot of people pretending to be geeks, just to be blunt.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, mixed in with people who are already geeks. And then so now you have, like, a giant population of people pretending and who actually are, some people in between, and then some people just getting caught up in the mixture.
Right.
And so Geek Chic has remained to be popular. Like, it hasn't waved away. I think a lot of people pretended to be in the culture and honestly found out they liked it. Like, sad but true, but maybe enlightening for some people. They were like, I was doing this, but now it's really cool. And then people who were geeks were now in, but they were just doing business as usual.
Right.
And so then now that like the fad, what normally should have died out, like being a hipster, kind of just went the way of the dodo.
I mean, beard oil is expensive.
So is avocado toast.
But I mean, if avocado toast or a house, it's no option. I have to have avocados.
Yeah. So what I personally think. So since Being Geek was in, people had more safer spaces to be themselves without scrutiny, and then when it was going out, it had become widely accepted to where it wasn't as strange to like cosplay anymore. Like you could walk around somewhere cosplay and people wouldn't really care that much as what they would used to if you were to do that.
That's fair.
Early on.
It's a normalization of geek culture. Like beyond the initial pop of Geek Chic, we now have ESPN and TBS have drone racing and esports clubs.
They do have drone. I forgot about that.
I think it's fascinating. Right? Robot Wars is coming back. I used to love watching that, and like it died out a long time ago, but now we're back. BattleBots.
BattleBots, yeah.
There we go. It's different names, but same
thing.
Yeah. So, we might be actually having an uptake of nerd stuff, even despite like gatekeepers who insist that you aren't nerdy enough. You must be this nerdy to enter a kingdom. Even the kind of grimy. Okay, I'll admit I hate The Big Bang Theory, and I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. But, if you find them interesting and they get you into geek culture, that's okay. That's fine. It brought you here. We like you now.
And I guess as someone who's, been in geek culture since day one, I just find it fascinating that people are finally starting to understand what we've already known. Like, Nintendo's getting ready to release, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, which is a hybrid core Pokemon game with the Pokemon Go fanatic craze. Mm-hmm. And I've heard people say, wow, they're making another Pokemon game. Unbeknownst to them that they've been making Pokemon games. That's how Pokemon came to be in this world, period.
You know what they should really do? They should finally make a sequel to Mario.
Oh. We knew a girl that legit told us that. Mm-hmm. Or a person, not that her being a girl has nothing to do with it. But she was surprised that she thought there was just a single Mario game and that and she heard of the new Mario game being Mario Odyssey and thought there was nothing in between.
No,
but she's interested now because of the popularization of geek culture.
Exactly.
But I just find it interesting that like how did these people miss 20 odd years of?
Well, they just there have been other interests in the forefront of things. Before we were face painting and dressing up for cosplay. We were face painting and dressing up in cheese wedges to go to football games. Yep.
So I'm interested to see where is this gonna go. Like, will people start playing? I'm gonna say stop. They have the light version of geekdom. The very crafted, easy way. And then some people are clearly interested when they actually dive into the meat and potatoes of it, so to speak.
Hot Topic. And then there's searching online for something you want.
That's a good way to put it.
But searching for things we wanted a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yes, we went complete full circle here because about a week or two ago in one of the episodes, we talked about live-action shows or movies that we wanted. And one of my picks was Sonic the Hedgehog and Bada Bing Bada Bam, we're getting it. Bada Bing Bada Bam is probably going to be god-awful. Bada Bing Bada Bam, we're going to hope it's not. Bada Bing Bada Bam, Jim Carrey was announced as Eggman. Bada Bing Bada Bam, yeah, I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah. I mean...
was announced as Eggman, but I'm not sure about that.
I like Jim Carrey. I do. But you know who I think would be hilarious, Dr. Robotnik? Danny DeVito.
He has the right shape.
Right.
He's a round man. And he's balding down the middle.
It's true.
And
right? He already wears little round glasses sometimes. Like, he was, just the penguin from, Tim Burton's Batman.
He can be a good Robotnik.
And we were robbed of him being someone prominent when Ryan Reynolds took Detective Pikachu's voice.
Yeah.
I think that'd be hilarious still.
I mean, it'll work.
Yeah. No, just imagine, like, hey, I'm Pikachu here. That would have been hilarious.
That would have been.
Anywho, But, okay, beyond Dr. Robotnik, who do we want cast as which character? So, I would like Jaleel White, we learned that last time, to be Sonic the Hedgehog.
He is the definitive Sonic the Hedgehog. He was Sonic's voice in the 90s. If you don't know, he was Urkel from Family Matters. He did other things.
He did that.
Yes, that was him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was also Stefan, the
cool
attractive.
clone?
Yeah.
Was he a clone? Or
No, he was
cousin?
like. Ooh, excuse me. He was the alternate Urkel. Urkel would step into the machine, put like coolness juice in it.
Oh, right.
So he was Urkel's alter ego, but actually just the real person who played Urkel.
Like the Nutty Professor. But...
Yeah. Except he wasn't evil, and he was actually still smart, and he respected Urkel's wishes. But I always thought that was funny because it's like my cool alter ego was essentially the girl trope. Like he takes off the glasses, and puts on something that isn't lederhosen, and wow, you've been attractive this whole time.
Pretty much.
But yeah, he was the hot dog munching, say no to drugs, Sonic Says, Princess Sally, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mm-hmm.
And you love it. Like, granted, like, if they would have had him as Sonic the Hedgehog in the video games, they all would have sucked a lot less.
Recommendations for future Sonic the Hedgehog games.
Jaleel White, where are you? Where are you?
Resting peacefully on the money that he just collects passively.
We should reach out to him and be like, be
in our show?
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
Our people will talk to your people.
Okay, but we all know there's far more characters than just Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's go in order. Tails.
All right. Miles Tails per hour. Sonic.
Wait, that sounds an awful lot like miles per hour.
Oh. I didn't find it out until much later into my adult life.
Fair enough. They don't use his full name.
No, I didn't. I just didn't get the pun.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Now you got it.
Yeah.
You're up to speed.
Oh, we're
having
killing
fun here.
Yeah, we are. So, Miles Tails per hour. Power. Tails. Yeah. The twin-tailed fox Sonic sidekick should be Michael Cera. Because he's everybody's twin-tailed fox sidekick, and like everything he's in. He's just...
Oh.
Like, he's a good actor. I enjoyed Scott Pilgrim Saves the World. But he has that forever I'm 12-year-old voice.
He's just perpetually awkward in a great way.
Yeah, Tails is like that prepubescent, like, wow, like I want to be cool as you, and like it makes sense. Like, look at a picture of Tails, or look at the picture of Tails we have up, and then just envision Michael Cera in everything you've ever seen him in, and it's just
right. Juno, Arrested Development, all
super bad, yeah,
super bad,
it's just
all into one. There you go. It's perfect.
All right. Next on our docket is
Knuckles.
Yes. And Knuckles the Echidna.
I thought it was Echidna.
Echidna?
Knuckles the Enchilada should be played by none other than Dwayne "The Rock" the Tooth Fairy Johnson.
Yes. I don't care what anyone says. The Rock is a good actor. He may not always be in good roles, but he's a good actor. And believe it or not, he's done a lot of kid movies.
The Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
Jumanji.
Moana. That horrible movie, Planet 51.
Ooh, he was in that?
Yeah, he was the astronaut.
Oh.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, he doesn't care. He gets paid.
Yeah. I think he's actually voiced, besides Maui and Moana and that character, I think he's actually voiced quite a few other characters and other things.
Okay.
So he has the voice acting chops. He is muscular. And he knows how to be serious and fun at the same time. And Knuckles is a serious, fun, kind of lightheaded character. And I really think he can fine-tune that.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, even his Maui persona could just kind of be just superimposed over Knuckles and work.
It's like, yeah, we finally defeated Robotnik. You're welcome. You didn't do anything. My job here is done. Layers of references there. Anywho.
I really want The Rock to have him be Knuckles now. Like, I'm sorry if it is... Well, I think they already have a Sonic, so you've already lost me, but Jaleel White is Sonic, Michael Cera as Tails, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as and Knuckles.
Mm-hmm. That's his character name. He introduces himself as and Knuckles.
Yes. Like, you have an all-star cast.
Rouge the Bat.
Yes, Rouge the Bat. So if we're gonna delve into Sonic Adventure 2 era.
Just a few more characters.
Yes, I feel like Rouge and Shadow, out of the whole slew, we can include them. Only because she's mega popular right now. Cardi B. I think, like, honestly, like, again, you'll look up pictures if you're not watching. I feel like Cardi B and Rouge almost look alike. Like, I feel like there's a strong resemblance between Cardi B and Rouge the Bat. Cardi B loves diamonds and jewels and, you know, making money moves. Rouge the Bat loves making money moves, quite literally, and all the thieving she does for jewels.
Right.
They both have figures, except one is a, you know, real woman superstar, ex-stripper, so her figure makes sense, and one is a anthropomorphic. Damn it!
We'll get it eventually.
Anthropomorphic bat with questionable design choices, but I think that would work.
Yeah.
I personally could think of a Shadow the Hedgehog, but I'll let Jared take this one.
Shadow the Hedgehog, you're the faker here. No? Yeah, okay. Okay, so either Benedict Cumberbatch or Christian Bale.
I will let him explain this because I don't see it. I wanted Jason Jason, the transporter guy, to be Shadow, but he sounds too British.
Does he sound like anything? I've never heard him speak in any film.
I swear he says like half a sentence and that's it for like 30 minutes at a time.
What'd you say? Transport.
Pretty
much. No, okay. You know what? I'm just going to go with Christian Bale. If you've seen him in Howl's Moving Castle, I think he did pretty well. You know, it's like, I saved you, Sophie, and now I'm into the night. Okay, he didn't have the raspy voice, but I think he has a decent enough voice. It's that kind of, broody voice. Again, not the full-blown Batman brood voice, but it's the brooding we need out of Shadow the Hedgehog. That's pretty much his whole character. Odell still reluctantly disagrees quite a bit.
No. When you said that, all I could hear in my head was, he's not the hedgehog we deserve. That's the hedgehog we need.
Yes. Settled. Case closed. Exactly. So, speaking of Howl's Moving Castle, for those of you who've somehow never watched an anime before but are really curious to see what we're all talking about, what's a good anime you should start watching? I'll let Odell take the lead.
Alright, so I've recommended this anime to a lot of people, and I'm recommending to everybody out there. Erased. There is a live adaptation on Netflix. Do not watch that. Watch the animated version. It's available on Crunchyroll. This episode brought to you by Crunchyroll. Ding. It's available on Crunchyroll. And honestly, I don't know anywhere else that streams anime, but however you get it, however you find it, I do not judge. The internet is there.
And don't tell us how you got it.
Yeah. We have created Pandora's box, we have opened it, and now everyone just has to live with that. Moving forward, it is only 12 episodes. 12 30-minute episodes, not even an hour. Beautifully crafted episodes. I recommend watching one a day because they are is a very emotionally draining anime. The long story short, this guy has magical powers that he cannot control, where he goes back in time to help bad things from happening. He goes back in time to his childhood to solve a age-old murder mystery to save someone in the present.
Cold case.
Oh, cold case.
That's
all I'm willing to elaborate on it, but it's called Erased. It is beautiful. And a lot of people are scared of anime because, you know, it's too sexualized or too violent or too just graphic, either in, you know, sexual violence or sexual gore or just regular violence.
Too complex. I don't get the reference. Why is this funny?
Yeah, or the art style. They don't like it.
Right.
Erased doesn't have any of those problems. It's very grounded in realism. The art style is pleasant. The story is wonderful. And once you see it, it will make you realize that, you know, anime is probably a lot more capable than what you thought it was.
Right. Remember, anime and cartoons in general are not a genre. They're just a medium. Like, nobody says, oh, I just love live action shows like Martha Stewart Bakes, CNN, and NBA games. Well, those are completely different things. I just love The Real Housewives of New Jersey, followed up by CSI. Again, those aren't the same thing at all.
Yeah. And I guess the biggest problem with anime, the time investment. Like, One Piece is probably the greatest show ever, but they're currently on like episode 830. Mm-hmm. So that's really hard to recommend.
That might be an underestimation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so also in the same vein, as far as I know, only one season of this has been produced in English at least. So you don't even have to read subtitles for this one. My recommendation is One Punch Man. And so it's a little bit more violent, a little bit more gory than Erased, but it has a really simple, straightforward plot. There is one man. He can defeat anybody with one punch. And despite other shows like Superman or even the anime In Another World with My Cell Phone, it's done incredibly well. The character is incredibly relatable, and he's often defeated by social convention. So, he's not going to punch the villain through a crowded area. He can't do that. He can't just punch the clerk. He has to go back home because he forgot his wallet. Like, these are nice things, and it has one storyline that builds up. If he actually wants to be a hero, he has to go through all the proper, defeated by social convention. He has to get the license, train up. He doesn't start as a top hero. He has to, he starts as the rank D? C.
I think it's D.
D hero.
He starts as the lowest rank.
The lowest rank, has to build up before he can get any respect at all. And so, it's a concise story, and, we'll introduce you to these other elements that are prominent in anime. The sort of violence and the sort of gore. And
it also has good action, and despite its simple premise, weaves a complex, compelling story, which honestly a lot of anime shows do, which is their biggest draw. Action and story, what I would probably say, and when I say action, it's more like, since it's animated, the action and anime is just really
busy.
Yeah, busy, but it's highly entertaining. Like, the fights are very well choreographed.
Oh, right. Actually, again, this is kind of one of my complaints against, like, Marvel films, is that a lot of the fights are just lots of things happening. In One Punch Man, it's more of a choreographed effort. We're looking at one thing happening, and we're following it through.
All right. So, for my next recommendation, actually, it's actually a movie, which I have right here.
Oh.
Called Your Name.
Okay.
For those watching. I have the special collector's edition DVD box set. There you go. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So, I recommend it for almost the same reasons I recommend Erase. It doesn't have a lot of the tropes that turn people off from anime. Mm-hmm. Not saying that if anime has those things, it's bad, but, it's usually a turn away. It's a movie, so no actual episodic investment. Mm-hmm. One-time sit. And it involves a boy and a girl who, for reasons unbeknownst to them, one lives in the biggest city in the world, Tokyo, one lives out in the countryside in Japan, who begin to switch places. And it's not like a Freaky Friday, they permanently switched, and if they don't switch back, it happens continuously throughout their life, or about that period in their life. So about every other day, they'll switch into each other's body and then switch back. And they're trying to discover, one, why is this happening? Because initially they think it's a dream until they end up back in their original body the next day. It happens like while they sleep. So like they'll wake up and then be in each other's body, and then wake up and be back in their own body.
Okay.
But when they wake up, it's kind of like like a dream. Like they remember being somebody else, but they don't remember like.
And that's fair. I mean, people don't switch bodies like.
Yeah, and so they somehow develop a system where they're in each other's diary on their phone. They'll write notes to each other like, "Hey, this happened at school today." Or like, hey, remember to do this, or you have a date this day, etc., etc., etc. And the plot, once they eventually figure out, the plot moves quickly through like a montage of them adjusting to this is their life now. And so, they get the bright idea like, hey, let's meet, or let's try to figure out why this is happening, because this is weird. And then from there, the plot really is a great story. I cannot stress that enough, how good the story is. And so, through complications of the story, they try to meet, but they can't. And it's called Your Name because since they wake up in this dreamlike state, they can never remember. It's like when you meet someone in your dream world, and even though you had this grand adventure with them, you wake up and you're like, who were they?
I mean, I have that experience when I meet new people all the time anyway.
Yeah, so they constantly have that, like, for whatever reason, like, they can never remember each other's name or, I guess, who they are. And so that's the big mystery of, like, who this other person is that I'm switching bodies with.
About who's your name.
Yeah. And there's a supernatural adventure intertwined, mixing bodies. Mm-hmm. There's a coming of age story in there, and there's just the hint of mystery. You want to know what's going on, the reveals, what's causing this, and when it all comes together, it comes together beautifully, and it's just a great experience. And again, I think people, if you watch Your Name, you'll probably be like, whoa, I didn't think anime was this, because again, people have got it in their head that anime is like either Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, or something inappropriate.
Mm-hmm. Or all of those combined.
Yes. So yeah, Your Name, watch it. You will not regret it.
So my, I guess, movie recommendation would be, and I've already mentioned it, Howl's Moving Castle. It's from Studio Ghibli. It's director Miyazaki. Everything he does, everything the studio does, it's just beautiful. It's just aesthetically beautiful. Like, you never thought animation could be this smooth and this detailed. So that alone, I think, is worth the watch. But it's a nice story. It's a romance story about, this plain Jane girl who thought she was nothing special, and how turns out to be, she gets intertwined in Hal's life. So you should. I don't really want to spoil it too much, but
I got you.
But the backdrop of all this occurs in a world where wizards are standard and they're all employees of the state, and this giant war is going on. So all wizards have to report. Hal is vehemently opposed to this war. So him and the main character Sophie are running from the state and their life
in a moving castle.
In a moving castle.
Oh,
yes. That not only physically moves, but they have portals that can change the doors that it moves to, which is just an added bonus detail for you. But it's a simple one-shot story. I think you would really enjoy it. There are other films that I think people would also like to enjoy, but they're a little more coming of age and you might not necessarily relate to them, like Kiki's Delivery Service, My Neighbor Totoro, Ponyo, even Spirited Away. I love Spirited Away.
That's an extreme coming of age story.
Yeah, I was like say, but if you're not 15 or younger, you're gonna immediately find the main character whiny, and it's hard to relate to at that point, I think. But if you have seen it, but once you get more comfortable with anime, those would definitely be my next recommendations. So, Howl's Moving Castle, One Punch Man, Your Name Here.
Oh, Your Name and Erased.
And Erased are our beginner's guide to anime recommendations. We ran down the list of live-action Sonic the Hedgehog people we think we should have, including Christian Bale for Shadow the Hedgehog. He's not the hedgehog we deserve, but he's the hedgehog we need.
That's the only reason I can get behind that.
And that's all the reason you need. And then finally, Geek Chic. It's here to stay. Embrace it. So, for Full Circle Podcast, I'm Jared Fradette. You can find me at Toonvelo. And per the usual beginning that we said, he is Odell Harmon Jr. You can find him at Odell Harmon Jr. So we thank you again. We hope to see you next time.
Yeah, have a great week.